Christians and conservatives hate cancel culture.
In our world, if you do something, you're going to be put to shame. I mean, social media exists in large part to shame people.
Amen.
Cancel culture, critical theory, the whole goal is to shame you. Shame you. Rub your nose in it. How do I know? Well, I know a guy.
It was him. That's the joke, because he was super sexist and a verbally abusive and controlling boss, as well as he was super homophobic and transphobic, but I don't think the church cared as much about that.
Oh yeah, and the plagiarism. I almost forgot about the plagiarism.
It's a solution to cancel culture.
Yeah, sorry, trigger warning. There's going to be some Matt Walsh in this one.
This is it. I'll tell you what it is. I've told you this before. I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it. The only way to stop cancel culture, the only way to stop the mob, is to never apologize to it, to give it nothing, to make no concessions, to offend it on purpose just out of principle, and to laugh in its face. That's it. That's the solution. There is no other solution. If you don't like that solution, okay, well, but that's the only one. There isn't another one.
Okay, I'll make a mental note of that. Thank you.
I'll give you an example. If I said for whatever reason that God hates a particular group of people, right, who may have same-sex attraction or whatever, which I do not believe that is true, but if I said that, then somebody would probably launch an all-out campaign, #cancel Alan Parr. Now, whatever you do, please do not launch that campaign because who knows, it might go viral. But that is this idea of cancel culture. We have seen this happen so many times in our world and in our society where somebody says something, maybe they have a particular platform or maybe they're a news media person or they are an actor or an athlete or something, and they say something and all of a sudden, everybody is lobbying around to cancel.
As it relates to silencing someone's voice, that's unfortunate. And it's really difficult for me to observe this. And that's not me just saying as a conservative that, I'm really bummed that conservatives are losing their voice. I would be bothered to see anybody losing their voice. And I feel like we should be champions of free speech.
Above all else, it's about freedom of speech, right? Even if you disagree with them, you're fighting for their right to have freedom of speech. Unless, of course, they're putting rainbows on stuff. Then that's just gross.
FBI and the Department of Homeland Security have issued a warning about potential threats to the LGBTQ-related community and their events, venues. Also, this is ahead of Pride Month. The local nonprofit Pride Houston 365 is working to enhance security measures to ensure the official Pride Houston Festival and Parade continues to be a safe space.
Comes as some say Florida lawmakers continue to attack the LGBTQ community.
There's also been backlash against businesses taking part in Pride events. Local 10's Christian De La Rosa has a story from Midtown.
Coming out this first day of Pride Month.
Jesus loves you.
You're a hypocrite. Say our king.
Target is teaming up with Tomboy X. The Tomboy X collection includes, this is at Target, a major retailer, chest binders. Chest binders is when women put on very restrictive bras, I guess, to make it look like they don't have breasts.
It's usually for trans men or non-binary people.
Packing underwear. I don't know exactly what that is, but I think I have a feeling, and yuck.
Yuck. He's totally the guy who won't buy tampons for his wife because he doesn't want to look gay, isn't he?
So here's the CEO right here. And yeah, they might have, taken down a shirt or two. This doesn't mean you should skip back to Target and give them all your money. No, not at all. The CEO is literally saying that tuck swimwear is right for society.
Oh my God, I almost died. No. I almost died. That was so scary. Thank you. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
These people are insane. This man right here has sold his soul to Satan so that he can be the CEO of a major corporation and do Satan's bidding.
Selling a product to a trans woman who wants to go for a swim is selling your soul to the devil? Is this really why Satan rebelled against God, so that trans women could go for a swim? everybody, thank you so much for liking and subscribing and commenting and all the other awesome stuff you do, because you're awesome people. I put the links down below for the social media, as well as the Patreon and the merch. And maybe I'll also put down some of my secrets that I've never told right in the description. It's Pride Month, and for many of us it means reminding our friends to put on sunscreen and drink lots of water. But for some Christians, it means that the world is ending and we're all doomed.
We talk about all the depravity that is on display, especially during Pride Month, but really all the time, is to not leave you in a place of despairing for your child's future or your own future. I don't want you to end an episode like this just feeling sad and feeling powerless and feeling hopeless, because no matter what, we're not hopeless. No matter what. I don't care how crazy things go and how chaotic things get. We're not hopeless.
But how did we get here as a culture? How did Pride Month become so important that Coke will change their logo for a month? How should Christians respond? And how does Jesus fit into this? And why all the rainbows?
Paul said every month is Pride Month.
Thanks, Rusty.
Stop listening to my private conversations.
Yes, you guessed it. It's Pride Month. Get ready to hear and see a barrage of messages exhorting you to join the party.
I mean, I'd like to be invited to a Pride party, but here I am watching my inbox and there is nothing.
So Pride Month is here, and this is a month of the year where members of the LGBTQ plus community, I think I got all the letters and symbols right.
Hilarious joke. You are so clever.
Celebrate with great pride the freedom that they have to finally express who they believe they are.
Who they believe they are. From someone who believes that men were made from dirt and women were made from a rib.
It is now the month of June, which we know well is called Pride Month, according to the world.
According to the world. Yes, we live in a world, and the world names things. It's only called June according to the world as well.
I wanted to speak about this from a Christian perspective, and my prayer here is to minister to those that are currently ensnared within this community, being deceived by the propaganda of the world. And to also minister to fellow brothers and sisters in Christ Jesus in such a way that would hopefully be edifying for you, to know that it is not our job to police nor ridicule those who are deceived by this.
I think it's a little bit of a ridicule to say that they are being deceived by this. At the very least, it's condescending. And don't get me wrong, I think that she is deceived and brainwashed. But the thing is, I am ridiculing her because she is causing damage.
Nor, on the flip side, is it our responsibility to bow the knee to this community.
And is it just me, or does she look really smug? Or maybe it's really angry and she's trying to hold it all in. I can't really tell, but I think it's smug.
So June is upon us, which means that the government, media, political activists, and major corporations have all collectively decided once again to spend an entire month celebrating one of the 7 deadly sins. Fathers, mothers, veterans, fallen soldiers all receive just one day on the calendar each, but people who are proud of their sexual activities are awarded 4 weeks of nonstop attention, on top of all the other various days and weeks that they've earmarked for themselves.
You know that May is Veterans Month, right, in the U.S.? It was made official the same year that Pride was made official in 1999. There is also Veterans Day and Memorial Day, but people like Matt and these people would rather complain that there isn't something than do anything to promote it. If he doesn't think there's enough celebration for veterans, then he should organize those celebrations and events. He should promote those events to his huge audience. But people like him prefer scapegoats over solutions. They prefer what about this over actually talking about the issue. It's the same type of people who say that we can't allow immigration when we have a homeless problem, but then does nothing to help the unhoused, or usually actively argues against helping the unhoused.
In the United States, we have one day for Christmas, one day for New Year's, we have one day for America's independence, and then we have a full month dedicated to Pride.
I mean, Christmas starts the day after Halloween. Not officially, but I worked at Starbucks and other retail jobs. Halloween night is for decorating for Christmas. We have long celebrations for many things, but they use veterans as an excuse for why they don't think Pride should get a month, forgetting that many LGBTQIA plus people serve and have served in the armed forces, and then go on to criticize the armed forces for being inclusive.
One of the social media accounts of the Navy SEALs posted this image celebrating Pride Month. Here it is. You can see it. This is the Navy Special Warfare Command flying the LGBTQ colors and lecturing us about equality and pride. You won't find a better illustration for why the Navy is experiencing a massive recruitment shortfall than this.
I think it's more to do with more people not wanting to die young. That, or they need to start putting more subliminal messages into pop songs.
They're recruiting people with subliminal messages. Otto, what are you doing?
I don't know. I just got an urge to join the Navy.
You're being brainwashed.
Yeah, probably. Yvonnette Niage.
It should go without saying, but the kind of people who appreciate these flags and make their sexuality into their identity.
Your sexuality is part of your identity. It's not the only thing about you, but it is part of who you are. Just like it's part of Matt's identity that women cover their drinks when he enters a room. It's not his whole personality, but it is definitely part of who he is.
Are generally not the kind of people who want to, endure grueling conditions and potentially sacrifice their lives behind enemy lines for America. Like, we want people in these positions who are focused on the mission and on the defense of their country. That should be obvious to the Navy SEALs, but apparently it's not. And of course, that's not even getting into the larger issue, which is that the government should not be participating in activism.
And does he think that being gay means you aren't strong enough to lift a gun? Or what, that you'll stop in the middle of a battle to make a flower arrangement or a souffle? Gay people have been fighting in wars as long as there have been wars. And I really don't think this is the first time ever that the Navy has been associated with gay stuff. There are so many competing voices out there trying to tell you who you should be, who you should love, and how you should act. And sometimes we need to fight back against that. And sometimes, though, we need to just tune them out. That's why I want to tell you about how Raycon's everyday earbuds just got better. Raycon's everyday earbuds have the same sound quality you would expect from the big guys at half the price. Raycon has sold over 3 million of the previous everyday earbuds, so you know that they are a fan favorite. If you've been in the market for a new pair of earbuds, now is the time to pull the trigger because Raycon has just launched their updated model of their best-selling everyday earbuds. The updated everyday earbuds have everything you love about Raycon, but you also get this ergonomic design, multi-point connectivity that lets you connect with 2 devices at one time, and the active noise cancellation. These are really awesome. I have been loving them. I've been using them to edit. I've been using them when I go on walks, and they are fantastic, and I love them, and I am now recommending them to all my friends. Also, my friend Mike just got some. He needed a new pair of headphones. I said, hey, this is my new sponsor. You should check them out. He bought a pair. He's loving them. 32-hour battery life, quick charge functions. 10 minutes of charging means 90 minutes of listening. It's weatherproof, it's sweatproof, you can control it with a tippy tap. I was also very excited when I noticed that these have wireless charging capabilities. Just pop them on my wireless charger and they were good to go. Very handy, very awesome. Fits nicely in my ears. And I love them. So click on the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/ornot to get 15% off your Raycon purchase plus free shipping. Honestly, these are fantastic earbuds and I have been loving them.
I'm joined by Dr. Bobby Conway for a conversation to address our response to Pride Month. So stay tuned as we dive into some controversial waters, or shall I say, suit up. Of course, not in your new trans Target tuck suit, but suit up intellectually for a dialogue on all things LGBTQ+. Bobby, now I bet many of our listeners are curious as to the origins of Pride Month. So where did it all begin?
Yeah, hey, I'm glad to answer that. I'm still trying to get past people not suiting up in their Target tuck suits. I never thought we would live in this kind of time. Very interesting. But leaving on, I'm glad you didn't ask me to describe the tuck suit. We will leave that for more creative minds to figure out, right, Tim?
Right, exactly.
Let's take a moment here. Bobby is about to talk about Stonewall, and the introduction to this is making fun of trans women for wanting to go swimming in the summertime.
But in answer to your question, Pride Month, we hear those terms, but we don't often ask, what's the origin of this? Let's harken back to June 1969. There were several days of riots that were taking place for gay rights. And these were known as the Stonewall riots. And these riots took place in New York after police invaded a gay bar known as the Stonewall Inn. As these riots spread, they sought to capitalize on the momentum with annual parades. But it was in 1999, in June of 99, that President Clinton officialized Gay Pride Month. And it was a month devoted to parading all things gay.
Okay, that was a terrible summary, especially the all things gay part. But yes, the police regularly harassed the gay and trans community, and people fought back, as you do against oppressors. Just as people continue to fight against oppressors today and continue to fight against police brutality today, riots broke out in protest of the police. And we continue to fight to this day until everyone has equal rights.
At first, it was just the L, the G, and the B, and the T was resisted, but later accepted. Of course, the acronym stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and the Q for queer.
Yeah, Q stands for queer, or it also stands for questioning. There's also I for intersex, A for me, asexual.
Hooray! I'm useful. I'm having a wonderful time.
And some include 2 for two-spirit.
And the plus sign really just stands for whatever's next. In other words, there is no moral boundaries. Anything goes.
Who says anything goes? It's not a lack of morals or a lack of morality. It's just not following your outdated set of morals and morality.
Except for, the traditional standard explanation that there's just a male and a female.
This is a big thing that they say or they imply, that the LGBTQIA plus community is saying that straight cis people don't exist or shouldn't exist or need to be erased. You see the same thing with people who are against Black Lives Matter because they think the implication is that white people don't matter. Because these are the people so used to things being about them that when something isn't about them, they take it as an insult. They didn't fight to abolish straight marriage. They just also wanted to get married. They aren't fighting to get straight and cis people harassed and fired at work. They are just fighting to be protected from discrimination at work. They aren't fighting to ban straight and cis adoptions. They just want to start families. They aren't fighting for straight and cis discrimination. They are fighting for acceptance. If you don't see the difference, you are the problem.
Now, look at Pride Month really quick, just for an education purpose. It started in the late 60s and early 70s, because they said that gay people were being discriminated against. Wow, come on. There are plenty of people groups and peoples that are discriminated against. Should we give them a month as well? I mean, let's have an alcoholic month. Or a month, or a liars month, or a murderer month, or a felony month. I mean, let's just let them go through the street and celebrate their crimes.
Not only does he equate being LGBTQIA+ with sexual assault and murder, but he also lumps in addiction in there? And in Canada, there is an Addiction Awareness Week in November. And as someone who is part of both groups as being an alcoholic ace, I don't love being talked about this way. But the most disgusting part is that he laughed. But then he doesn't disagree that they are being discriminated against. He just thinks it's funny that people take issue with being discriminated against when he believes they should be discriminated against. These people are only proving why we need pride.
Why celebrate the sin of homosexuality for a month, or even a day, or even a second? Because, now I want you to hear this, it's because it makes it look fun. It dulls people's senses, and it helps to normalize their behavior.
Yes, exactly. It needs to be normalized, and yes, it's obviously way more fun than being a boring straight guy. And I'm mostly a boring straight guy. If I had the choice between going to a party with a bunch of straight guys talking about their trucks and summer renovation plans, or a party with a bunch of gay and trans people, I know what party I'm going to. Again, I'm still waiting by my mailbox for that letter.
Trust me, gay is in, gay is hot. I want some gay, gay it's gonna be.
That's what it's all about. And also, it is a complete attack on the family structure that God set up. Okay? You can have two mommies, you can have two daddies. You can do whatever you want. You can just create anything you want for your life. I mean, you see it in movies, in cartoons, in music, in schools, You don't typically get to choose your parents. It's more about teaching kids that there are different family structures and someone shouldn't be treated differently for who their family is.
Our poodle has two daddies.
Idea of Pride Month for the Christian should at least cause us, just for the name alone, to take a step back and say, I'm not really sure if that characteristic is something that we should be celebrating as a virtue. Proverbs 16:18 says, pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. So pride is not something that the Christian sees as a characteristic to emulate or to strive after. In fact, we are constantly told to lower ourselves, to humble ourselves, to deny ourselves. Pride is not something that we celebrate. It is not a virtue or a value that we uphold. Over and over again, we are told in Scripture that pride actually comes before destruction.
Pride goeth before destruction. Boy, everyone is stupid except me.
So it's that pride itself is bad, not all the gay stuff. Because words never have more than one meaning or connotation, which is also why they get upset when people say they are proud to be American, right?
I chose Mount Rushmore because to live in a country where you can take an ugly old mountain and put faces on it, faces of great Americans who did so much to make our country super great, well, that makes me Rebecca Lehman, proud to be an American.
St. Augustine of Hippo said it was pride that turned angels into devils.
Oh, Bartholomew, I feel like St. Augustine of Hippo after his conversion by Ambrose of Milan.
Wait, Homer, what did you just say?
I said shut your ugly face, Flanders!
Oh, fair enough.
It's humility that turns men into angels. Pride is not something to be celebrated. It's a vice to be repented of. It's not a virtue. It's something we shouldn't celebrate, but we celebrate being immoral. We celebrate adultery. We celebrate defiance to God, rebellion against God. We celebrate a rebellion against His order. And we call that love. And if anybody disagrees with us, with our culture, we shut them up. We call them transphobic, homophobic. We call them with every kind of name to shame them. Why? Because pride needs to be protected. We need to protect that pride. And this pride is what's going to condemn us into eternal separation from God.
What? Pride? No, it's not pride that needs to be protected. Pride just means that people don't need to be ashamed of who they are anymore. Pride means people don't have to hide away anymore. It means being proud of who you are and standing up to the attacks. If your shame is because you are a hateful person, then maybe you deserve that shame. If you are being called homophobic and transphobic for being homophobic and transphobic, that is just someone pointing out what you are doing.
And you should feel shame for doing that. What you shouldn't feel shame for is loving who you love and being who you are. Just like someone might be proud of the country they live in, or proud to be a Christian, or proud of their accomplishments, you can be proud of who you are.
Well, gay pride, right? Gay pride parade. It's not like gay shame festival.
I want you to hear me when I tell you that God is very serious about pride. And again, it's not just the context of the alphabet community. It is the context of pride in it of itself. What pride is. Pride is self-righteous. Scripture says that pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before the fall. It says that pride brings disgrace and humility brings wisdom. What is the opposite of pride? It is humility. So what the devil has done is he has orchestrated an entire month of celebrating what is antithetical to what God celebrates. He has orchestrated an entire month where we celebrate disgrace, where we celebrate destruction and haughtiness. And what's the consequence of that? A fall. Okay.
Again, if Satan was real and his goal in rebelling against God was to create a month for people who have been forced to hide who they are, to be ashamed of who they are, to create a celebration that tells people that it is not better to be dead than to be who they are, that there are people who love and accept you for who you are, that the hate in this world can be outshined by love. If that was Satan's big goal, then I don't think that we should consider him the bad guy in this storybook anymore.
Because the rainbow is not the gay bow. It doesn't belong to them.
How long did it take you to think of that? You're just like laying there.
I was off the top of my head. Dude, I'm going to clip that. The rainbow is not the gay bow, but it's God's bow.
Rain doesn't even rhyme with gay. And what is a gay bow? Oh, it's the bow. Oh, it's JoJo's bow.
When I first signed with Columbia, I said, I want to start a new genre of music. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, well, it's called gay pop.
But maybe he could have said something like, it's the light spectrum, not the gender spectrum. But these people get so mad that the gays stole the rainbow from God that they like to start reminding us that actually the rainbow means that God won't genocide the same way again next time. They would rather we know God loves killing people than imply that he might like gay people.
And I'm terrified of fountains. They're unnatural. To force a rainbow angers God.
It's because the rainbow belongs to God. God created the rainbow. Do you know why God created the rainbow? Because it was a promise. It was a covenant. A covenant marking between God and all living creatures of every kind upon the earth. It was his promise to humanity that he is the God that never leaves nor forsakes. And that he is not the author of destruction. And that he will not judge the world the way he did with the flood.
The way he did. He did. So he is the author of destruction. He just felt bad about the way he did the destruction.
So if God's not the God of destruction, then who is?
Satan.
Satan. Little g God, of course. And then what brings destruction? The pride.
That is sound logic.
Okay. It's interesting because the rainbow belongs to God, and like everything that God creates, Satan counterfeits. The rainbow appears perhaps most famously in the Old Testament book of Genesis during the days of Noah. And Jesus says that as we enter into the last days, they are like the days of Noah. We are living in days like the days of Noah. Everyone is just eating and drinking and rebelling and carousing.
I'm going to give you all a little piece of advice I wish I knew sooner. Don't ever trust anyone who is against rebellion. People who speak out against rebellion are the ones who benefit from the current power structure. I won't deny that Pride Month is rebellious because that is exactly what it is. It's a rebellion against a society that says you are lesser than because of who you are. That you should be ashamed of who you are and who you love. And these people are afraid of that rebellion, which shows that it is having an impact.
Not understanding that judgment is coming. And in the days of Noah, God flooded the earth, and what God ultimately did, he killed or put to death all of those who were sinners. And then he sent a rainbow in the sky, and he did so to declare that he was entering into an eternal covenant of peace with planet Earth.
If God entered into an eternal covenant of peace with Earth, why did he immediately freak out at humanity when they built a tower? And why is he eventually going to destroy us with fire?
They appropriate the rainbow. They make it look ugly, by the way. Ukraine flag is in there. Israel flag is in there, I think, too.
No, they don't have country. What are you talking about?
All these colors. So it looks ugly. It's just completely gross. And it's almost taunting God as if saying, you promised you would never judge the earth again. And so it looks like we can do whatever we want. And you've said you won't come down. You won't take it out on us. You won't display your wrath. Someone said it. I don't remember who, but I think it was really good. There's coming a day when the rainbow is going to come back. And it's going to come down as a bow. And God's going to execute justice. And when he executes justice in fiery wrath, so the watery wrath in Noah's Ark, fiery wrath, when he does that, there are many that are proud and gay, and they will beg, as it were, for water, for a quenching, for a cleansing of the fire via water. And the rainbow will be God's promise that there will be no water coming, that there will be no water there to quench the fires of his wrath. And so they taunt God, we've got the rainbow. This is our sign. And at the very end of the day, the rainbow is going to be the remembrance to them that there will be no end to the judgment that they will endure.
This guy's version of God is a bully just like he is. God is a reflection of people's fears, prejudices, and bigotry. And that's why there are so many different versions of him. These guys hate people who are different than them and get little grins of excitement thinking of them dying in a fire. But they get to put that all on their God. It's not me who hates them and fantasizes about them burning alive. It's God.
You can't even turn on any sort of TV show nowadays without that agenda being slipped into the media, to where you can't even let your children watch basic shows without seeing a same-sex couple, that representation there. Even in our schools, even in our communities, in every facet of our community, they are finding ways, even though they are the vast minority, even though most people in this country are still strongly opposed to that type of lifestyle, they are finding ways to influence and infiltrate and get their agenda across.
Yeah, that's right. How dare media show anyone who isn't straight and cis? And if you have a woman character, she better just be there for the boys to look at and have no depth whatsoever, because that's how I want the world to look, so that's how I want my TV to look.
You don't decide to be gay. I know. You watch Magic Mike during a lightning storm like Brandon did.
I want to ask you both, because this is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And
why is that funny?
Are you excited?
They were just caught off guard by the question. That's it. They're in the middle of a press junket, are probably exhausted, and they are trying to have some fun.
About that? Are you bracing yourself?
Star Wars. Not the
Why is she doing that?
It's pretty gay, let's be honest.
Why is she doing that with her
Leslie,
hands?
How do you feel?
Am I gay? Yes.
Well, no, I know you are gay, but I'm asking, are you excited about putting this, this is going to be a talking point?
Is it going to be a talking point?
I'm sure some.
Because nerds are gay.
Well, some nerds are very not gay and are very threatened by gay
Well, that's
stuff.
true. But
Yeah.
in my world, nerds are gay.
Yes, it's true. There are some very angry, homophobic, and very sexist nerds. But she's also right. There are a hell of a lot of queer nerds.
Was this the fun element of
No, I don't think so. And yet people have told me that it's the gayest Star Wars, and I frankly...
You're offended?
into it. No.
I think that Star Wars is so gay already.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen the fits? We'd be like, look how gay this is, and then send each other a reference photo.
And are you telling me, with a straight face, that C-3PO is straight?
They're a couple.
He's a droid.
That's what I think.
Well, he is a robot. I mean.
Yes, we know he's a droid. It's a joke. But there have been jokes about these guys being gay, especially C-3PO, as long as there has been Star Wars.
Plus, tag team robot wrestling. It's the mighty robots of Battlestar Galactica versus the gay robots of Star Wars.
Jack, C-3PO is not gay, he's British.
Oh, R2, come back here. My circuit's burned for you.
You really should get another hobby besides outing robots.
When we come back, gay droid marriage, should it be legalized? This queer couple says yes.
Baby doll, give daddy some sugar.
I turned him into a straight up player.
No. If anything, Gears is a fussy old queen like C-3PO.
But the difference is these guys probably also made that joke, but they were doing it as an insult to gay people. But now that people are saying, hey, maybe C-3PO is gay, and not meaning it as an insult, they're taking offense.
This is more outward.
I think it's canon that R2-D2 is a lesbian.
This is so incoherent on so many levels.
Ask Filoni.
Robosexuality is an abomination. Boy, this guy.
Okay.
Ask Filoni.
This postmodern viewpoint is so incoherent on so many levels. She says, nerds are gay. He says, well, nerds are not gay. And she says, well, that's true, but nerds are gay. And then she says, are you telling me that C-3PO is not gay? They're a couple. Then they said R2-D2 is a lesbian. Like, how does that make any sense at all?
This conversation that these two women are having in an interview isn't Star Wars canon. It's just two people riffing off each other, probably while tired.
Does this affect your excitement for the show at all, Travis? I might not watch it now. I was excited about the lightsabers, but now there might be too many lightsabers.
They replaced C-3PO's arm with a rainbow arm instead of a red one.
Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't recognize me because of my rainbow arm.
Are you going to take off your TIE Fighter shirt now?
Well, the Empire is straight, right? Maybe the Empire did nothing wrong.
Honestly, if Star Wars was real life, of course these people would be on the Empire's side. Oh, and did I mention that the name of this episode of the Babylon Bee podcast is Pride Month is Gay? Because the hilarious comedy writers over at the Babylon Bee are in no way 10th grade bullies, but are super hilarious original people.
Walmart is giving Target, as we mentioned. Here is their cool ad, SOT 3.
Queer people have magic that we can share.
We're lucky enough to be in the Walmart Pride collection this year. Total dream come true.
It's not every day that I see my products in a Walmart.
It's important to me to share my art.
No one can make the art that you make. No one can say the things the way you say them. There's a lot of opportunity to uplift with a bit of playfulness and imperfection.
The world needs to hear what you have to say and your story.
No.
No. I'm a grown-up. I think the most disturbing thing about this video is all the hate comments on it. But this just shows why Pride Month is so necessary. Simply existing and saying that it is okay to be like us makes these people so mad that they forget that they say they hate cancel culture.
And their Pride collection, one says drag is not a crime. I also think it's a good question to ask, like, why all Pride stuff is in colors that are attractive to children, like in these rainbow colors.
Well, first of all, some kids are gay. Some kids are trans. Those kids deserve to be seen and be respected. Also, bright colors make people happy, and Pride is about celebration. Easter also uses pretty colors. Are you mad about Easter? It's teaching kids about a human sacrifice.
Queer people have magic, says Walmart, as if you needed any more proof that LGBT activism is a secular religion.
Not everything is literal. They don't mean it's literal magic. Obviously, you grown adult.
Magic? The dark arts? Are you guys serious? First the queers, then sorcery?
The Texas Rangers are the lone team in the MLB that does not have a Pride Night. And this person on Twitter was upset because he went on the Rangers website and they changed their banner as June started. Their slogan for the year was "Run It Back," and they quietly replaced it with one of their other logos, "Straight Up Texas." And he says, at best, it's really unfortunate timing. At worst, it feels antagonistic.
Good.
I like
Texas Rangers.
I like the idea that 1 out of 30 professional baseball teams does not celebrate your sexual preferences with a special night, and you are antagonized by that.
Yeah, because the Texas Rangers or any other sports team would never cater to straight men's sexual preferences, right? But being gay is as much about who you have sex with as being straight is. If you go to a straight wedding, is that about sex? If a store does an ad for Valentine's Day featuring a straight couple, are they pushing the missionary position? When family movies have straight parents, no one bats an eye. But if a character has 2 dads, it's all of a sudden about sex?
Now, I believe that God loves all people. He loves gay people, he loves transgender people, he loves queer people, he loves lesbians, he loves sinners, he loves good, bad, and the ugly. He loves every single person, young and old. And this is not a video directed against people. This video is directed against what Bible calls sin and what the Bible calls demonic teachings and lies. And that's what I want to deal with.
No, I love you. I just think that your identity is demonic. How is that so hard to understand?
In the Gospel of Matthew, a group of religious leaders approach Jesus and ask a common question of the day: which commandment from the Old Testament is the most important?
And Jesus answered unto him, if 2 men are fighting and the wife of one of them comes to rescue her husband from the assailant, and she reaches out and seizes him by his private parts, you shall cut off her hand. Show her no pity. Oh, no? It wasn't that one?
Jesus answers, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And a second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments depend all the law and the prophets.
For Jesus, loving God and loving people were the most important things for humans to do. And the way we love God? Jesus himself says simply, if you love me, you will keep my commandments.
Our first priority should be to follow to our best ability the will of God. Yet our second priority and part of God's will is to love people, including all of the people who celebrate Pride Month. Jesus spent a lot of time with people who weren't living according to God's designs, but he understood that belonging comes before belief, and he knew that he was their true hope.
This means it's important for us to hold to the design for gender and sexuality that God intended, but also to find tangible ways to love and serve others, even if they disagree with or don't live according to that design. All of this is with the hope that God will grab hold of their hearts and draw them to himself.
It's so important for us to love all the pieces of garbage who celebrate this filthy, shitty lifestyle.
They'll say that love is love, you know? What? Said no verse ever.
But also celebrating pride in what God calls sin, what God calls destructive for the body, soul, and mind. This is what I've referred to several times on this show as toxic empathy.
Toxic empathy, you say?
It's this idea that in order to truly love someone, you must not only place yourself in their position, but you must affirm all of their feelings and therefore affirm and celebrate their sin. And this is not the Christian definition of love. And I know I sound like a broken record because we've talked about this so many times, but you never know who's listening to this or watching this who has never heard this before. And the Word of God is always worth repeating. Love is not defined by us. We hear the circular mantra, love is love. Well, that doesn't mean anything. It's the same math. It's the same illogic as trans women are women. Well, what is a woman?
Ugh, the what is a woman question is so stupid. I got this comment once, and I asked in return, what is an apple? At first they didn't want to play along, but eventually they said it's a fruit you eat, which of course describes a lot of fruit. And by that logic, the response to what is a woman is an adult human. And then after that, they didn't want to play and they told me to shut up. But if they did play along, if they were to describe it, say, as a red fruit with seeds in the middle, well, that discounts Granny Smith and Golden Delicious, but also includes cherries and tomatoes. If they were to describe in detail the skin and the texture of the skin, and that it has a core and that it has a little stem, that would also include pears. But a pear is not an apple. And you can go on like this. And that's all to say that words aren't perfect. But like I've said before, we don't have words first and then fit things into those categories. We have the things, we have what we want to describe, and then we give names to those things. And language is fluid and malleable.
What is love? Love can't just be love. That means that love could be anything. That means it could be lust. That means it could be stalking. That means it could be some form of predation. It could just be a fleeting feeling. It could just be romance. If love is love, then it really is just subjective. It's based on whatever we feel in the moment.
I think love encompasses a lot of different things. Longing, respect, admiration, care, that happy feeling when you see someone, and it could even include lust. Allie Beth here is married. I bet her and her husband have lusted after each other. And that is healthy, and that is normal, and that is part of love, and can be part of love. Stalking isn't love because it doesn't care about the other person's feelings, and it doesn't care about the other person's boundaries. So universally, we don't see that as real love, even if the person who is stalking someone does believe it to be love.
Who's the waitress?
Nobody.
I'm
sorry. No, nobody. She's the woman I'm in love with, and I follow her around a lot, and she doesn't really give me the time of day, and that's cool, though, because I'm not going to give up on her, You don't give up on something that beautiful.
Which is not really a comfort, by the way, and it's not really a stabilizing force. But if there is a transcendent being who created love, then there is a being who defines love. And of course, that being is God, because 1 John 4:8 tells us that God is love. We don't read that love is love. We don't read that we are love. We read in 1 John 4:8 that God is love. And
if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. Maybe there is a magic love monster or whatever, but we're still people with free will, or at the very least, the illusion of free will. And we know what love means. If you want to say, no, that isn't how I define love because of the love monster, that doesn't change how people feel towards each other and care for each other.
It is true that love covers a multitude of sin. However, I want you to hear me when I say that love is truth, not tolerance. So when the gospel says that love covers a multitude of sin, that does not translate to tolerance covers a multitude of sin, acceptance covers a multitude of sin. It means that truth covers a multitude of sin because the truth is what sets us free.
Sin is a made-up concept. It's a control mechanism to make people fall in line. You don't get to tell people how to live their lives anymore. And if you try to tell us how to live our lives, we will stand up and we will set ourselves free.
It's time to stop going along with what everyone else is doing. We need to stop being affirming, affirming, and inclusive. Why? Because God is neither.
Nice fella. I wonder if he's gay.
He hates sin. And according to John 14:6, he is exclusive, not inclusive. And we must do the same thing.
Really does sound like Christian cancel culture run amok, doesn't it? I wonder what we should do when someone tries to cancel us.
Is to never apologize to it, to give it nothing, to make no concessions, to offend it on purpose just out of principle, and to laugh in its face.
So here I am laughing in their face because these people are a joke. They choose an angry God over real people. They choose hate over love. They are afraid of rainbows and bright colors. They think swimsuits and underwear are yucky and gross. They are mad at imaginary gay robots and the idea of two boys kissing on TV. They are grown-ups afraid of differences. The children are right to laugh at them. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for making it this far. If you know somebody who may benefit from it, send it their way. I love you all. You are awesome.
Work, Sky Moon.
Jagger, it's trying to follow your face. I'm up here. It's okay, Jagger.